Good afternoon. Welcome you all. Oh, yeah, it's- link is selected. So I'll give announcement regarding a very serious issue of plagiarism. Yeah, so just note that Moodle submission is compulsory. So yeah, if you are not doing it, we will cut 2 marks for that. Okay, so yeah. For the last assignment, whoever did not do, we have imposed only cutting the 1 mark, which is for good coding practice. So yeah, for future, it will be, the deduction will be 2 marks. Yeah, so we ran MOS. So we just submitted the assignments to MOS. So most of you will be familiar. It's a online available tool available online, plagiarism checking. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, we found a lot of high similarity in sessions. Okay. So I'll just share the statistics with you. So there are 2 pairs of submissions which match at least 100 lines, and for at least 50 lines, there are like 44 pairs. Okay. And 20 lines, huge number of pairs, 238 pairs. Okay. So yeah, just to remind you, plagiarism is an offense, punishable offense as per the Institute of Law. Plagiarism or any kind of discussion which results in like getting ideas from others or elsewhere, any other source, it's not allowed here. So please be careful about that. Yeah, so we are going to run MOS thoroughly for each of the assignment, and yeah, so for the first assignment, we are going to apply a penalty of 50% of the marks for all involved parties. Okay, so we will not see who is the source or who copied and so on. No such things will be accepted. If there is similarity, both all involved parties will be given a penalty of 50%. That is 5 marks will be deducted. So before we announce that, announce who have done and so on, if you write a confession, so by Thursday I plan to each of you who have found copy programming. So we'll reduce the penalty to 30%. This is only for assignment 1. Okay. So yeah. So by Thursday, so confession by 16, 17, 18. Yeah, this is only for assignment 1. For assignment 2 onward, yeah, so that is going to be stricter. So your action will be very strict. So we will not even ask any question. We'll just refer your cases to Discord. Okay. So we'll see if the number of lines match. It's not only about lines. Even if the number of lines matching is small, but if it is found that the crucial part are similar, okay, that is essentially like taking ideas from elsewhere. Okay, so all of those will be referred. Okay, either a large number of lines, say 50 lines or so. It depends on the code assignment. And short, then the threshold will go down. Okay, and or codes corresponding to important parts. Okay, so implementing a function in a not trivial fashion, but if the functions look very similar, yeah, then we will be referring it. Okay, so yeah, it's yeah, recommended, and in fact we insist that you should not discuss your assignment with anybody else, and nor should copy from any other source. Okay, you can refer to sources for syntax and so on, learning the syntax and learning specific features of C++ and so on. Possibly for features you might even, I mean, you can even discuss with others, but for solving the assignment, it should not. Okay, so that is, yeah, it's just a reminder. since we found a lot of such cases, just reminding. You might think that it's easy grades and so on, but that's not the case. Okay. So, like I said, even if your code is not executing, it is fine. Okay. Submit your own. We'll give some credit. Yeah, it's better than so. See, Moz are very good software. Okay, so it's not the point is, I mean, to beat Moz, you'll spend enough time. I mean, you'll spend so much time that, I mean, that's enough to solve the assignment itself. Okay, so there's no point in doing it. That's all I wanted to say. Okay, so I'll move on to the slide. Yeah, so in the last assignment, you have seen pointer overloading. Anyone wanted to ask anything? Yeah, so this is just a reminder. I mean, just a recollect from last lecture. So we looked at classes and objects. So class is a type and object is an instance of a class. Okay. Yeah. So instance or variable. So variables can be multiple for a given type. Okay. And each object will have single type. This is a rule in most of any of the programming language. Okay. Generally used. Yeah, so there could be type conversion and so on. We will not talk about it now. So we skip this part. So most important part is in a class, content could be public, private, and protected. We also looked at static, okay, which is something one for all objects of the same class. Even without having an object, you can access those functions which you declare as static. Okay. So public, private, protected. So we just looked at the siblings in the last lecture. So it's will anywhere as long as the object survives. So private is visible only to functions of that object. Protected is something it involves inheritance. So we'll be seeing it in the next lecture, possibly towards the end of this lecture. Okay. So okay. Yes. So today we are going to discuss an important feature for which you wrote programs in the last lab. So this is about overloading. Okay. We'll discuss details about it. So a traditional programming language, say C or any other programming language, Pascal, or maybe even Python. I'm not very familiar with Python. So if you want to say add, so perform addition on different kinds of objects, okay, or say multiplication operation, okay. So what you have to do is either say, for example, addition, if you want to define for any data type, so you'll have to specify the data type. So for each, there will be different function. But since there can be only one name, right, you cannot share the name among the functions. Okay, so that becomes a bit of tedious. So for example, here, so if you want to add two integers, you will write add into xy. If you add many integers, you may write add into many. So, but if you have the number of parameters will have to fix. Maybe you want to add complex numbers or adding an element to a set and so on. So for each of them, you will have different function names. Okay, so that's something tedious to manage. But in particular, if you write a program where you have to handle integers, floating point numbers, or complex numbers, or sets, or it could also be matrices and so on, using different function names, a bit tedious. Okay, so to improve that, what C++ allows is it allows what we call as polymorphism. That's, you can use the word add as a function name for all these to represent different functionalities. Only thing these functions will be distinguished by signatures. So that is parameters and types of the parameter. That is data type of the parameter. So yeah, so this is exactly what it represents. Okay, so I can in C++ I can define the function add to all these tasks. I can say add x y, add x y z, whatever the number of parameters, say 10 x y z etc. 10 variables, or add a complex number C1, C2, C3, or add an element to a set, or add a set to a set, or add two sets to a set, and so on. Okay, so all that can be done using a function with the same name. Okay, so this is called overloading or polymorphism. Yeah, so it's not only for functions, it can also be done for operators in C++. Okay, so you can also define overload your operator for your own classes. Okay, so addition is typically defined for integer or floating point additions. Okay, but you can extend that for string concatenation, for example, or set union, or appending to any of the operation that you would like to define. Okay, so similarly, this square bracket I operation, this is to access an element of the array. Okay, this again you can use it with your own objects to have different functionalities. Okay, so yeah, so we'll get into the syntax or how do we really to achieve such a task, and what are the interesting aspects or complications involved. That is going to be a main task. Okay. So the term used for such an aspect is called polymorphism. Okay. So poly means multiple, morph means form. So this is basically multiple form. The same mnemonic or the same name appears in multiple forms. Okay. The main purpose of this is, I mean, this is really not much to do with object orientedness. This is, but it has its own utility in improving the program readability. Okay, the code becomes easier to read. Okay, so polymorphism is supported in many programming languages. So, for example, polymorphism of functions. So that is what here add function with the different parameters, different types of parameters. That is, yeah, that was first implemented in C++. Later on, also it appeared in Java. But C++ also has an additional feature, which is operator overload, okay, which is not available in Java. So that is, you can overload multiplication, addition, or any other allowed operator, valid operator. Okay. Yeah. So we'll start with a simple example here. So yeah, this slide demonstrates an example. So there is a class A. Okay. So we are defining two methods. Okay. Both methods have the same name. Okay. So this for adding one integer. So assuming that A has some private data. So we are adding that integer. So the private data N here. Okay. So the function body. So remember that you can define function or you can define itself, or you can function later. Okay. So only thing is during linking time the code should be available. So all this does is add x to the private data. So n is equal to n plus x. The short form n is equal to x. That is a feature in C, which is also available in C++ as well. So this is essentially z n equal to n plus x. Okay. Now, so but it may also be the case that you might have to add two integers. Then C++ allows you to do that as well. So you can avoid adding with integer parameters. Okay, n plus equal to x plus y. So if I just try add int x without the same parameter, then there will be a compilation because ambiguity. Okay, so one thing is each function. So you can overload a function name, but signature should be signature should be. So if I return float x, then it would be fine. Okay, if I return float x, that's fine. But if I just add int x again, that will not be accepted. Okay. Well, here the constructor was a destructor, which we saw in the last lecture. Okay, so here this use it. So the function will basically takes object of class type A as parameter, a pointer to it, and then it calls the method with a single parameter A dot add. Okay. We are again we are overloading the function again. So we are having even with an additional parameter. Okay. This is again overload here. So there are two overloads here. So this is okay. Both are function overloadings. Where there are two parameters. The second parameter. So what you do is you just add. So you yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, your voice is breaking up again and again.
Oh my god. Okay.
I think it's a problem that everyone's facing right now. So it might be at your end.
So yeah, just log still helps. It's allowed to connect to my mobile. Yeah, is that the same thing? Yeah, I'm going to speak a long sentence. Is there still a break in my voice? Still breaking. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll connect to my mobile data. So hopefully that is better. Yeah, there will be a brief disruption. Okay, I'll disconnect for a second. Hello. Can somebody confirm if you can hear me? Hello. Hello. Is it better? Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is
It's
it is
it's a
okay?
bit better now.
it's better. Okay, I don't know what is wrong here. So it might be problem with this WebEx. Okay. Okay, so I'll continue. Let's see. Okay, so let's see how to do something. Okay, so here, so there are two functions being overloaded. One is add, is fun. Okay, so both are overloaded. So if you look at the main code here, so the an object of type A. So that's a constructor which initializes n to 0. Then fun A basically adds 1. So basically n will become 1 now. Then fun A2. Then so fun A2 will be adding x, which is 2 here, 2 plus 3, 2, 1, which becomes 5. So n will become 5. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Even this message is problematic here. Lots of messages, I think. Okay. So some people are saying audible, still breaking for me. So can others confirm? Yeah, that's the last is already. Okay, so turn off the video. Okay, I'm turning off my video. Let's see. Hopefully it is better now. Shiv Subramanian or Vivek Raj, is it better now? Bharat, Arun, Sumant, anybody? Can you confirm? Akash, Ajit,
Not good.
not good. It's still bad. So Sumant says it's fine. A couple of them, yeah, Tejas says it is fine. Okay, so 4, 5 are saying fine. Okay, I've cut my video. Okay, so hopefully it could be that this app consumes a lot of data. Okay, so that's why it could be slow. Yeah, so those it is very noisy, I request you to also watch the recorded video later. Okay, so next week we'll figure out again. Maybe I may have to switch to Zoom or whatever, whichever consumes low data. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is about function overloading. So you can use the same function name, but the important point is the signature, what we call as the parameters of the functions. I mean, that is, we call it a signature of the function. They should be distinguished. Okay. So I can have two parameters or I can have float. So I can have one more overloading with the float and so on. Now C++ also allows us to overload standard operators. Okay. So only thing is I need to have an additional keyword called operator. Okay. So operator is a standard keyword in C++. Okay. So I can define say plus overloaded onto class of type A. Okay. So I can write an object of type A plus something. Okay. So that something, the type of something will be written as a parameter here. Okay. So when I say a and, so this says that the operator, after the operation is performed, it should give a pointer to the class A. Okay. So the operator name, so followed by operator keyword and then the operator name. So it could be plus or any of the standard C++ operator. I'll come to that, what operators are allowed and what are not allowed. And then the parameter is going to be int. Okay. All it does is it adds x to n. N is a private variable. It's the same class here except that we have put an operator here. So then how do you use it? So I can just write a plus 2. Okay. Or I can write a equal to a plus 2. It really does not matter. I mean, so the reason why we say it should return the same pointer to the same object. So can somebody tell me why? So what if I just write this as void? How does it really matter? Yeah, I'm still facing trouble accessing the chat. Is somebody? Yeah. Can somebody tell me why do you think we should define it this way? So there is no problem if you don't define. So you put oid, I think it should work, but there is a problem with that. Okay. So the problem is here. See, when you see these operators, so they are associative and so on, right? You can write expressions of this form. So if I write this, right? Okay, or I put a bracket this way and do this. So then if I say this is going to be void, then the problem is, so this is not well defined. So this will be an object of type void. So this should again be object of type A. So that is why we say that it should return operator of type A and. So I believe on C++ type will actually create trouble if I write void. Okay. So this is more to do with the feature of the plus operator. Okay, so to write such expressions, it is needed that you're returning object of the same type. Or if you want, you could have said, okay, return integer type. So then this would return integer. So then here when I say +2, then this will be integer addition. Okay, so yeah. So now we'll yeah. So this is one more example, so that we can overload the operator for say, I can say a class times 4. So this overloads multiplication. This basically meaning that, so a string, let's say AB times 3 would mean AB, AB, AB repeated 3 times. So AB, AB, AB. Okay, so that's the string concatenated to itself, whatever the number of times. So that's exactly what is achieved here. So using the standard from the standard library string data type. Okay, so this is string data type. So it's in fact a class there. Okay, so ret value is a string data. So what we do is we just, so one thing that we need to remember is addition operator is defined over strings as concatenation. So we are using that. Okay, so this basically keeps on concatenating the string to itself n number of times, 0 to n minus 1. Okay, so then it returns pointer to that string. Okay, basically an object of the same type. So yeah. Okay, so are there any questions? Okay, so again checking, is it fine for those who it was fine? Is it still fine? Okay, yes, good. Okay, so here we come to the important rules about operators. Okay, so one thing is we can overload an operator only for an user-defined class. We cannot overload for primitive types. So for integer or float or character types, we cannot overload any operator. Yeah. So the operator meaning will remain the same. But for user-defined classes, we can define. So that is what we did here. So for A, we defined the operator plus here. Yeah. So for similarly for class name, we defined the operator star here. Okay. The other parameter being integer. So I cannot say name star name. That is not well defined here. Okay. It has to be name star some integer value. Okay. Could be a constant or some variable. Yeah. So the other rules for the same operator, the associativity or precedence rules, they remain the same. Okay. So operator precedence as well as associativity, they remain the same. So this is going to be left to right. This is going to be left to right. Okay, so here with our previous declaration, this is going to be erroneous because plus was not defined. Okay, and arity of the operator will again remain the same. Okay, so I cannot. So plus plus will have unary operator. So whatever the arity of the operator, so minus is either binary or unary operator. So both are. So minus of A is well defined in C as well as C++. Plus it can be unary as well as binary. Okay, Okay, so those arity has to be preserved. Okay, and one more thing is so of course, while you can overload operators, you cannot introduce your own operators. Okay, so for example, at is not a valid operator in C or C++, and so does, and you cannot really introduce it as an operator. Okay, so only thing is you can define operators for your own class. Okay, the meaning of the operator, not the meaning, the functionality. What I mean is associative, the order of processing, associativity or precedence, they remain the same. Okay, those won't change. Only thing is the meaning, the actual functionality is according to what you do. Okay. So, however, there are operators which cannot be overloaded. Okay, so the member operator for a class or a struct is not allowed to be overloaded. Similarly, the pointer operator, the ternary operator is, it cannot be overloaded. The scope operator basically says which namespace should we use, which again cannot be overloaded. And other operators like size of is also an operator, it's not a function as such. Or there's a new, I think it's not probably available in C++, the type ID. Okay, so the data type of the given variable. Okay, that is also not overloadable. So all other operators like plus, left shift, or even right shift, yeah, minus equal to plus plus, or this pointer access, what is it called? Yeah. So this is the pointer version of dot, that, but that can be overloaded. The bracket operator is overloadable. Okay, and in fact, the memory allocation and the unallocation are free, which is in C++ we use the function delete. They can all be overloaded. Okay. But remember, when you overload, it should be with respect to a new class that you are defining. Okay, not for the standard data types. So you can also overload unary operators. So for example, unary operator minus, if you want to overload, I would just declare it this way. Okay, num operator minus. Okay, so return num minus 1. Okay, so it creates a new object of type num with the value minus of what was here. Okay, and returns that object. Yeah, any questions? Any questions?
Sir, in the main here, main part.
Sorry, yeah. In this slide, right?
Yes.
Okay. No. What was the point? I didn't get exactly what is your question.
Sir, I'm not able to understand how are they called in main and what are the return in.
Okay, fine. Okay. So here, okay, I'll just explain what is here. Okay. So here we are creating a new variable, that is new object of class type num with the 5 as the initial value. So the constructor basically. So what is constructor here? So yeah, constructor is basically assigning n to that. So n is initialized. So n1 has the value of n, that is n1 dot n is 5. Okay. So now you're declaring another variable and you are assigning it to whatever the value that you get after saying minus of n1. So what does minus of n1 do? It returns an object where the value of its private variable n will be minus of its parameter. Okay. Yeah. So that is, so this will get minus of 5. So n2 dot n will be minus 5. Okay. So here
Yeah.
n1
But
dot n is 5. So n2 dot n will be minus 5. Okay. Any other question?
Sir, in case of unity operators,
Yes.
how to differentiate between like 5 plus plus or plus plus 5? Like they're the same plus plus, right?
Yeah, so you will have to. Yeah, I'll come to that. Yeah, so this see, yeah, that's a very important question. Okay, so yeah, yeah. So because of that question, I'll also demonstrate one point. Okay, so yeah, so here when I say operator plus, right, I'm only allowed to write a plus 2. I'm not allowed to write 2 plus a. So that order is incorrect. Okay, so this is not correct. This will give you an error. Okay, so this is not correct. So if you want that, you'll have to declare the operator accordingly. Okay, so yeah. So the order in which, so if you want to define plus plus a or a plus plus, so I think plus for plus plus, I think it is treated equivalently. There's no issue, I think. But yeah, other operators, the order of operands, that is important. Okay, so that is, so C plus plus will function only exactly the way how you define it. So if you want commutativity, you will have to define accordingly. So you will have to define both of them. Okay. So in the case of plus plus, yeah, I'll come. Yeah, some mass. Okay, I'll confirm it later. I'll try it out and confirm. That's a very good question. Yeah, I think it should work. Prefix because the functionality is essentially the same, right? It's only the action which differs. Okay, order of whatever, the storing the value or whatever. That differs. So the read value and the write value being changed. That's what differs. So for plus plus, it should be fine, I think. But other operators, the order of the operands is important. That is according to what we define. Okay, I'll be coming to that now. Yeah. Any
Even
other
for the
question?
minus case, so can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so even for the minus case, you define, so the operator should be valid only if it comes after the object, right? So here you have defined minus n1, but the operator overloading you have done, like, shouldn't it be n1 minus, and only that case it should work? Like, how is it
No.
different?
That's not. Okay. So I think I'm getting my own voice. So the nice thing here is, so when you say minus and here, right? There is no operator. It basically says it's a unary operator. The unary operator minus works exactly this way, right? Minus of something. Okay. So in C or C++, in C. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it takes it as a unary operator whenever there's no argument for the
Exactly.
operator.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, now I'll come to this operator, this G out whatever, whatever. So you can actually overload that operator too. Okay, so we'll see it in the next slide. Okay, so yeah, let's take this example, the same example, class num. It has a private variable n. Okay, so we are defining this operator. So do you remember the name of this operator when you studied C? What is it called? Okay, so its voice is breaking, so it's basically the video problem. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is left shift. The opposite, the other side is right shift. Yes. Yeah. So this is the shift operator, right? This is basically bit shift. It looks at the binary representation. So if I write a shift left shift 1, this basically looks at the binary representation. Say if the binary representation is 1 0 0 1, then after this operation it will look like 1 0 1 0 1 0. It will shift left by 1. If I write a right shift by 1, this will be 1 0 1 0. So the LSB will be discarded. Okay, but you must have already seen for C out, this is not exactly what it means, right? You are using the same operator for C out. So the operator has been already overloaded for the class C out. See, C out is a class of type O stream. Okay, so if you remember, yeah, so you're doing this IO stream, right? It defines classes for C out and C in. Okay, so the class corresponding to C out is O stream, and the class corresponding to C in is I stream. Okay, so this library file, it also declares variables C out and C in according to that. Okay, so the namespace for it is standard. That is basically the place where it is declared as it's called standard namespace. So we can overload that operator to get our own meanings. Okay. So now when I say int operator left shift with the parameter, so the way we use is we can write, yeah, it's already here. Okay. So n1 left shift say 5. So then this operator will be called with the parameter 5. So by will be 5. So what we did here is we just say return. So take the integer value in the class, which is n, okay, left shifted by bits, by many bits. So it will basically left shift n by 5 bits. That means if in the binary representation, it will add 5 zeros to the right. What does it mean arithmetically? Adding 5 zeros? It's basically multiplying by 2 to the 5. It's multiplying by 32. Okay. So if you are doing right shift, it is basically dividing by 2, throwing away the remainder. Yes, multiply by 2 goes 2. You're right. Yeah. So that's exactly what it does. So let's see how to use this. Okay. So we are declaring a variable of type num n1, initializing it by 5. Okay. So now what you do is look at this code. Okay. C out n1 left shift by 2. But unfortunately, this code has a problem. Somebody point out what would be the problem? Yeah, operators evaluated from left to right. What does it mean? So it will be evaluated C out left shift n1. Okay, so that is of course it's not well defined. Okay, C out takes what are the parameters that it can take. So this left shift operator for C out is defined for either string type or any of the standard data types, variables of standard data types. We haven't defined left shift for C out, where the parameter is an object. So this itself is an error. Okay, but even if this were not an error, suppose it's not an error, then here this is an error. Okay, so 2 is nothing here. Okay, so it should be a string here or it should be a variable. Okay, so there are 2 errors. So how will you overcome? So what was the intention here? So we wanted to left shift, apply the left shift operator on n1 and then print the return value. Okay. So what is the return value? It's an integer value. Okay, so that is well defined. So C out on an integer value is well defined. Okay, so what did you do? All you do is you put, yeah, very good. Bharat, yes. Bharat and Vineet. So all you do is put a parenthesis. That's all. Okay. So we'll see it in the next. So this is the correct. What does it do? It applies this left shift operator. The left shift operator will be returning an integer. What is that? N left shift by, which is 2. So what is 5 left shift by 2? Five left shift by 2 will be 5 into 4, which is 20. Okay, so the output here will be 20. Yeah, very good. Yeah, comes to place. Okay. Yeah, so here the point is, I mean, when we define this left shift operator, it's not necessary that we return only integer. Okay, so you can say, okay, return of num type. Then we have to modify it accordingly. You will have to create a new object where the value of n, new object of type num, the value of n is nothing but this n left shift, or you want to use it as multiplication, it's up to you. Okay, so you can define anything, any functionality here. Only thing is this type should be matched. So, but if I declare this left shift operator, so if I had said this is num, then I'm in trouble here, because for num type, class of num type, cout left shift num is not well defined. It cannot be of num type. That will be a problem. Okay, so then I'll have to define this left shift or cout with the other parameter being num. That unfortunately cout is not our class, right? Cout is declared elsewhere. So the next question is, can we overload left shift for cout? Similarly, can we overload right shift for cin? The answer is yes. Okay. So how do we do that? So we have, yeah, so we have a look at it. How do we do it? Okay. So what we want to achieve is, so for example, I want to overload left shift for for n1 for num type. Okay, so that means I should be able to make calls of this form. Okay, cout left shift n1. Okay, but then, so remember, what is the class in which this has to be overloaded? It is the class corresponding to cout. Okay, so for n1, so if I'm defining this operator, so where was it defined? Inside this class. Okay, or corresponding to this class. It need not be necessarily inside. We'll see. I mean, putting namespace, we can actually define it elsewhere too. But it has to be declared inside the class. But this class for cout is not defined by us, right? It is defined in the library. Okay, so what is the class corresponding to it? The class corresponding to it is ostream, standing for output stream. Okay, so the way we would declare is, suppose we get access to the file where it is defined, that is basically the file corresponding to ostream.h. Okay, I mean iostream.h. Then all we need to do is go to the definition of ostream and then insert this code there. It returns of type ostream, pointer to type ostream, defining operator, but the other parameter should be number, either pointer to number, or usually it is pointer, okay, or object itself. But the problem with this is, first thing, you will have to know where this class for cout is declared, ostream, and doing it every time when you define a new class is going to be really difficult. Okay, so basically you need to modify the standard library code written by someone else, and it's also painful doing it every time. Okay, and if you change your system, right, if you install a new Linux somewhere else, then again you'll have to copy all those things into the standard library, and so it's extremely painful. Okay, now the question is, can we do it on our own without really editing these files, without really editing the file corresponding to cout, that is ostream. So the library is iostream. Okay, the answer is yes, we can actually do that. Okay, so what we do is, so any message there. So the number of participants is going down. Yeah, the beep is really painful. Okay, so the way to do it is, so you have to use the namespace where ostream is defined. The namespace is std. So std 4 dots O string. So you declare this operator left shift. Okay. Now for this operator, we are telling the two parameters are, one is O stream itself, that is a pointer to O stream. Basically, it's going to be our cout, and a data or a variable of type num. Okay. Now what we do is, so we just take this stream that is going to be cout, okay, cout, and then we print the value here. So we just apply this left shift operator with this value. So the only problem here is this is going to be defined in the namespace std. So n will not be visible. So I will not be able to write num.n. Okay, so then hence we implemented through a routine here. Okay, get num. So then all I do in the main is I declare. So this is a declaration. Then I say cout left shift operator n1. Yeah, this is just to say end line. Okay. So yeah, it has the same functionality as /ln and /n \n in C. Okay. So this is all I need to do. So the only problem here is if the class has private data, then the overloaded cout left shift will not have access to that private data. Okay. Because the OStream class is defined elsewhere and it has nothing to do with the class num. Okay, it's neither derived or whatever. Well, private data is not available to anyone else. Okay. But there is a way out, in fact. So you can also make the private data visible to this procedure or this operator. I mean, operator is nothing but a function here. Okay, as such a function. Only thing is, I mean, the operator symbol is something predefined. It's whatever is available in C++. So we can do that using the friend qualifier. Okay. So yeah, so this is exactly what I meant. So we'll see friend here. Okay. So what we do is, so there is something called friend keyword in C++. Okay. It basically, you can declare functions which are friends of this class, or you can declare classes which are friends of this class. Okay. So typically, I mean, the understanding is you give access to your private data to your friends. Okay. So friends have access to private data. Okay. So to overcome that difficulty, so I mean, see, it's not a problem here. You can have a procedure to get the value of it. That is very standard procedure. But in case if you want this overloaded operator to be able to access this instead of a procedure, you can use this friend qualifier. Okay. So let's see how do we modify it. So all we are doing is in the declaration of the class, we are saying the left shift operator defined for num. That is what we have done here. Okay. Is a friend of this class. So I said friend, it's exactly the same as here. This line is ditto. Okay. So the left shift operator defined for OStream, that is for cout. Okay. Where the other parameter is being a class object of type num. As a routine, it's a friend of this class. What does it mean? Inside this here, I have access to, so one can have access to num.n. Okay. Yeah. So there are, yeah, I hope it is clear now. So in that case, you can access it. I mean, it just improves the code readability. I mean, see, in this code, there is no problem. So we just wanted to demonstrate. In case if you want access to the private values of num, you can achieve that by just declaring this operator. It can be also function. Okay. So here, when I say friend, It can be a function, it can be a class, or it can be an operator. So in this case, it's an operator. Okay. So the one important difference here is, so for defining this left shift operator, we'll have to define it with the two parameters. Okay. We have to explicitly say what is the first parameter and the second parameter. That is something important. That's how C++ is designed. And can you think of why this return poststream and is required there? Exactly. Yes, Sanchit Gupta. Yes, you're right. So it's the same thing with this operator plus. Okay, so it's for that cascading. Okay, so you can actually have an expression where multiple left shift operators are defined. I mean, applied. Okay, so for example, this left shift. When I say this left shift, the left object should be C out, right? So then this better returns C out. That's the reason why we return this as C out. So it has to return. Okay, return. Yeah, that's all. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this is small, some minor things. So just the way we defined left shift operator for C out, so we can also define operator outside the class itself. Okay, so here we defined for the num class, the plus operator was defined inside, right? Rosie, let's go back. Yeah, so the plus operator was defined inside the class. I can do it as well outside the class. Okay. In that case, when I define plus, the class will also become a parameter. Okay, that's exactly what happened when we defined the left shift operator for C out, the other parameter being num or our own class. Okay, so the same thing needs to be done when you want to define the operator outside. Okay, so so for example, if I want to define the operator plus for class type num, the other parameter being integer, I'll just declare it as int operator plus num and num. So it's a pointer of type num and then integer, which is n. Okay, so it returns an integer value, unlike class. So the original plus was class, right? So here we are declaring it as integer value. All we do is we get this data, that is n, and then add n to it, return the value. Okay. So now it's again the friend, using friend you can modify it so that this operator has access to n. So since this is defined outside, right, you will need to declare this operator as friend of this operator. Okay, this operator is not defined inside the class. If it were defined inside the class, then you have access to n by default. Okay, so that is a difference here. But there's one more point one of you had raised, right? So when you define it this way, there is also a problem with order of operator. I mean order of operands. So here n1 plus 3 will not be the same as 3 plus n. This is not well defined at all. So here the first operand has to be num, the second has to be integer. But if I have first as integer and second as num, this is not defined. This is an error. Okay, so plus of an integer and number is not defined. So you'll have to define this operator accordingly. So I'll have to add one more overloading here, int operator plus int whatever n1 comma num and num or num2. So that we see in the next slide. This is how we overcome it. Okay. So yeah, I mean the point is you don't have to do the whole process again. You can just call the other operator. Okay, so you can say operator plus first operand being integer, second operator being of type num, then you return num plus 8. You just readjust. You just call this operator. Okay. This is how you work. So this also answers one of your questions about prefix plus plus and postfix plus plus. Okay. So at least plus plus, I don't think there is any issue because the functionalities are the same. Whereas other operators, particularly binary operators, if it is not homogeneous, I mean, in the sense that the operands are not of the same type, then you will have to, the commutativity you will have to declare it. Okay. So that is, so they are not homogeneous here, right? So this is of num type and this is integer. Then swapping is not by default. You'll have to declare it. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Okay. Yeah, so I'll skip this part. I mean, similar to how we did for cout, you can also overload the operator for cin. Okay, for with respect to your class, basically reading data into your class. Okay. So this is a sample code. I'll share all these codes. Okay, I'll share it in the Google Drive. I forgot to do it last week. So all the codes basically created by Rupesh, I'll be sharing it. Okay, so you can just execute and experiment on that. Yeah, so you can also overload new and delete. So once you overload new, you should also overload delete. Okay. So basically to allocate sufficient, so I mean you can see when you want to allocate dynamic memory dynamically to your class object, you want to do it on your own way. So you can describe new operator. Okay. So new is in general defined only for primitive data types, the basic data types, but you can overload. Yeah. So here is an example for the same. I will skip it. I will leave it to go over the code and also try it out. Yeah. So similarly, you can overload delete. So this is an example of overloading the array access operator. Okay. So you can also overload it on classes to return the value that you like. So that is I'll skip that again. Yeah. So similarly, you can also overload pointer access operator, which is minus with the greater than sign. Okay. This also I'll skip. Yeah. So here is a demonstration of it. Yeah. Just to summarize, polymorphism is an important feature. I would say it's not basic. An object-oriented feature. I mean, it's a feature it can be a feature in any programming language. It helps in terms of objects as well. Okay. So you can overload functions. So function overloading is a feature that will be useful for any programming language, need not be necessarily for objects. But operator overloading is with respect to classes. That is something that we need to remember. Okay. So operator overloading is only for with respect to classes, and there are certain rules to keep in mind. You cannot overload all operators. There are certain forbidden operators which are forbidden from overloading. And the interpretation should be similar. I mean, the data types and so on, they should be respected. And you can also overload the left shift and right shift operators with respect to cin and cout and cin. Okay. You can also do custom memory allocation and so on. Okay, so I'll stop here to take some questions. So for the next lecture, somebody calling me. Okay. So the next lecture we'll be talking about inheritance. That's exactly your current assignment is. Okay. So once you, so write a program with basic inheritance. So next lecture we'll see it in more detail. Okay. So I'll stop the recording, but I'll be available for questions. Okay, so give me a minute before I come back for questions. There's someone who's calling me some 10 times. So I'll just